So the theme of this march is the Arc of Justice. This is Martin Luther King Day, 2013. It is also the day of the second inauguration of President Barack Obama.
The idea to do the walk from Baltimore originated on December 15th at a meeting that formed the Drone Coalition. And we thought, rather than on the day of the inauguration, we would bring the issue of drones and the lack of talk about it in a $2 billion election process. So we brought the drone, walked the drone from Baltimore to D.C. and many people saw it, and I think the idea came across to us. We raised a lot of consciousness, and that was the reason for walking.
The inauguration protest. This piece says real change.
I just showed up and said, hey, I've got some hands.
Right. Requires spine.
I'm not very picky.
Real change requires spine.
Well, when the saints go marching in, well, when the saints go marching in, yes, I want to be in that number. When the saints go marching in, when they make peace in the Middle East, when they make peace in the Middle East, yes, I want to be in that number. When they make peace in the Middle East, hey, when they bring down the apartheid wall, when they bring down the apartheid wall, yes, I want to be in that number. When they bring down that apartheid wall.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, everybody, for being in the right part of this city this morning. There's a little crowd, a little bit misguided down the street a ways, the size of which, if it were ever to turn out for a single day, for a single one of the issues that all those people imagine they're cheering for today, we would actually win a substantive victory on that issue. But there are people, in a way, because they imagine they're here for the right causes. They imagine they're here on an appropriate day, recognizing Dr. Martin Luther King for his work against the evil triplets of racism, militarism, and extreme materialism. That's right. They think that's what they're there for, and we need to go talk to them. We recognize Martin Luther King, who would be with us today and would be 84 years old today had he not been killed, for his work as a serious activist, despite the fact that under today's definition he wasn't. Because today you have to do election campaigning for candidates. You have to back a party to be a serious activist. He didn't do that. He didn't do that. He didn't sell out. He worked for policy change. We are moving in the wrong direction today on racism. We are growing more segregated as a people and as an activist movement. We are moving in the wrong direction on materialism. We're 3 years now since the Citizens United ruling. We saw over $1 billion dumped into buying our election, and we like to laugh at the side that lost, but they shaped the debate, they shaped the policies that are coming this spring just as much as the other side. This is a bought and paid for government. We had people last night spending more than my house cost, and I'll die before I finish paying for it, for a ticket to a party. That's right. We had more people at a party for peace last night than are here. That's right. Yeah, that's for sure. We are moving in the wrong direction on militarism. We have dramatically escalated the sales of weapons to foreign dictatorships and so-called democracies alike in the past 4 years. We are spending $170 billion a year to occupy other countries, to have drone bases. You know, they need local pilots for takeoff and landing. We have a president who every other Tuesday goes through a list of men, women, and children, picks out whom to murder, and has them murdered.
That's right.
And the vast majority of people who get murdered weren't on the list at all. People are targeted because they go to rescue bodies. People are targeted by suspicious behavior without knowing their name. This is murder on a major scale, and we're not turning against it. This is the kind of movement in miniature here today that we need to see grow. We need the civil liberties groups that oppose the torture and the assassinations and the imprisonment to take on the military spending that creates it. We need the environmental groups that claim to want to preserve our climate and our atmosphere to take on the single biggest consumer that fights the wars for oil, the oil that is in large part for the wars. We need to bring all of these groups together to take on those evil triplets that Dr. King spoke about, not as isolated policies, but as an integrated illness that our society is confronted with. We need cultural change. We need to end what candidate Obama so misleadingly called the mindset that gets these wars started in the first place. There's a book out this week called Kill Anything That Moves about Vietnam. And every single thing you read in there, you've seen happening in Iraq and Afghanistan and Pakistan. There's an article out today by Sandy Davies about airstrikes. 20,000 airstrikes ordered on people's homes by President Obama in the past 4 years. A little bit of which is drones, the rest of which is non-drones, but you die either way. We have to tell the public. We have to go tell people, because when we talk to them, they get it. They understand. They're not aware. They're not told by the corporate media, and when there's a story out there, like the front page story on the kill list, they avoid reading it. It wouldn't be comfortable. But when you push it on them, when you tell them, they understand, and they turn around, and they join us. We have to. We have to take advantage of this moment when an election is behind us, and the next election is not quite obsessing everybody yet to say we need to build a movement. They have timed the assault on Social Security and Medicare for the coming of warmer weather. They are not as scared of us as they need to be. They're spying on us, they're infiltrating us, they're worried about us, but they do not see the potential that has been created in this moment for a movement independent of party that takes on a corrupted government across all of these policy issues, which are all connected. And if CNN's unhappy because we have more than one demand, we have assaults by the dozens, and we can list them all, and they all come down to plutocracy. They all come down to oligarchy. They all come down to a government run by the weapons makers, run by the bankers.
That's right.
You know, the NRA did go buy a political party, but Lockheed Martin bought 2 of them.
That's right.
And the weapons we're selling abroad and the killing we're creating abroad far outpaces what we're creating at home, and generates it, and generates the mindset that allows it. We have to take it on in this moment, and everything is aligned for us to do so, and I'm thrilled to see you here today.
Right.
About. It strikes me that we've sort of sanitized Martin Luther King, that we think of him kind of as a saint, and certainly that's what our media does. We talk about the fact that he did a lot of dreaming, but we've sort of forgotten his radicalism, I think. And he was actually very much a revolutionary. He made people very angry and uncomfortable. He challenged the strongest powers of the day, and he knew that what he was doing was dangerous. He went to jail, he was spat upon, he was called names, and of course, as you know, he was ultimately killed. And the reason was that he refused to stop telling the truth.
Give us the minds of your children to learn books that have not yet been burned. But can they read the sky for the rain? What can we say? We cannot obey. Soon all tyrants will feel our impatience. We choose to create our own combinations. I was always willing to agree, but now what can one say? I will not obey. And yes, that's what we have to say, what Utah Phillips has said so many times in his songs. We will not obey the corporations. We reject their false ministrations. Together we'll create real democracy. What will we say? We will not obey. This isn't about begging our legislators. This is about creating the road as we walk it, a road to liberation from corporate domination. And this means that no matter what we choose to work on, we should be shaping our work through the lens of undercutting the power of corporations in a very fundamental and structural way. The issue, friends, is not just the issue, all the issues we care about, it's the system that's driving all of these issues and taking away our power. Today's also the 3rd anniversary of Citizens United. This is the tip of the iceberg of how settled law by the U.S. Supreme Court has empowered corporations and the moneyed interests. No doubt, most of you here have heard about the 1886 Santa Clara case. Sound familiar? Yeah. So that's the case where the Supreme Court said we don't even have to rule that the 14th Amendment is for corporations. We all agree it is. Well, you know, giving power to corporations went back much, much earlier. It went all the way back to the 1819 case about the College of Dartmouth, when the legislators of New Hampshire wanted to create a public college. And what did the Supreme Court say? Well, the Board of Trustees has a contract, and it's a contract with the government, and you cannot violate this contract. This rose the corporations up to the same level as our government. This is what empowered the corporations to move ahead to the kind of power that they have today. We have to take on this settled law. And that's what Move to Amend is doing via the local and state resolutions, asking Congress to overturn Citizens United and amend our Constitution to establish that money is not speech. Human beings, not corporations, have the rights of our Constitution. But I want to say something else. Did you know that 19 towns in rural America, even in Pittsburgh, have passed laws, not asking somebody else to do something, passed laws themselves in their own local communities that say, we have the right to self-governance. We will protect the rights of people and of nature. And by the way, corporations have no constitutional rights in our town, period.
So here's Ann Wilcox, one of our national lawyers, Guild people. So where are we, Ann? What's going on?
We're at 14th and Euclid, Malcolm X Park. We're getting ready to march down towards the mall and the inaugural festivities. And we've got drones displays. We've got a backbone, Citizens United, Free Bradley Manning, all the different issues that come before the country, and calling on the president, who doesn't want children killed in Newtown, Connecticut, to stop killing children in Pakistan and countries where drones are being used. So glad to have everybody here. Thanks for joining us.
Protesting the drones.
Stop the drones! Stop the war!
So I've had a few.
Stop the drones! Stop the war!
Stop the drones! Stop the war!
Stop the drones! Stop the war!
March demands
And we need to decriminalize. So yeah,
change requires a spine, says the spine.
So we set up more or less two scenarios. And the first scenario would have to do with no police interference. The other scenario would be if the police in some way intervene. So if things go without police interference, we're going to process out of Union Station 2 by 2. While it's going to be a solemn procession, it is not a silent procession. So you should be talking to people who have been here, if necessary, to get a flavor of what we decided to do. So we have people that did a scouting expedition, so they're going to lead us out, and basically we're going to go over Delaware Avenue. We're going to try to get as close as we can to a gate, hopefully where people will be at. Because of the time crunch, we have decided once we establish the space, we are going to act. We're going to act. Art Laffin here with the Dorothy Day Catholic Worker is going to announce, look up in the air, there's a drone strike coming. So that is the signal for the die-in to take place. Now, I don't know the current situation, but do we have shrouds? Okay, so we're trying to get shrouds, okay? And if we have the shrouds, we're not wearing them in the procession, we're putting them on when you are dying in. Also, we expect to have photographs of drone victims. We're going to put them over the body.
over the what?
Over the body. Over the body. To put on the person that's on the ground. We want this die-in to be an active, theatrical die-in. So not everyone has to be dead. You could be wounded. You could be moaning. You could be buzzing. You could whatever moves your soul when you're on the ground. Please do it. Call for water. Call for assistance. Whatever. That's up to you. While the die-in is taking place, and there's a 1 hour limit. If we're not taken into custody after 1 hour, then we're going to all rise up. But while the die-in is taking place, people will be reading the leaflet. People will be reading the letter to the president. People will be talking about people who have died. Art Laffin brought the document that was used at the CIA. There's a lot of good information in that document where people can read it. So that would be for the supporters, the people doing witness that day. They would utilize that time while the rest of us are on the ground. The scenario, though, could be created where the police stop us. We're hoping that by processing 2 at a time, that we're not this mass rabble, that we can get as close as we can to a gate around where the people have gathered. But the police may stop us. If the police stop us, we intend to try an alternative route. So we would simply turn around, we would try to find an alternative route to get closer to where the mass of people are. Should that fail, we may have to do the die-in there. It might not be the best place to do the die-in because of lack of people, but we really don't have another alternative. There's a lot of time crunches going with this, including Joy First's husband was in an accident, and she has to get back to Wisconsin, so that's an issue.
Oh my God, look up in the sky!
this? Why are these centers being arrested? Why is the Constitution being trampled? I don't understand it. Can anyone answer?
From the Bureau of Investigative Journalism. Picture this: 3 children who stand surrounded by the debris of their former home. A few hours after it was obliterated by a Hellfire missile fired from a CIA drone in the early hours of August 23rd, 2010.
175 Pakistan.
When photographer Norm Barham reached the children a few hours later, he said the children were shocked, but had at least survived the blast. However, their father, Bismillah, their mother, and 8 and 10-year-old brothers had been blown to pieces by the drone strike. The orphaned children and their dead loved ones became the latest civilian victims of a U.S. war against Pakistani militancy in which they had played no part. God forgive us for using killer drones. God forgive us for using killer drones. God forgive us for using killer drones. Martin Luther King Jr. said love even for enemies is the key to the solution to the problems of our day. Let us heed Dr. King's message of nonviolence and disarm all drones, all nuclear weapons, all weapons everywhere. The choice before us, Dr. King said, is no longer between violence and nonviolence. It's either nonviolence or non-existence. Let us choose the way of nonviolence. I am a victim of illegal drone strikes. Let us choose the way of nonviolence and resist all U.S. government